Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This is the Collaborators Unite podcast. Chuck Anderson here, your host, and this is the show where we serve big impact experts. And that's you if you are on a mission to make a big positive impact in the lives of your clients, possibly even the community or the world. And it really depends on the size and scope of your mission. And what we know about you is that you are passionate about your work and the difference that you can make in people's lives. And along those lines, we're going to talk about a really powerful way to do that, and that's with retreats. Not just any kind of retreat, but how about a retreat in Peru? That sounds amazing. And today, I have an expert in that and the owner of a retreat facility in Peru. So I have Laura Diaz with me here today. Laura, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about this. I really enjoyed our first conversation. I think it's fascinating what you've put together. And, I think, a great place to start, Laura, is tell everybody your story. How did it come to be that you're running a retreat center in Peru?
Well, I was traveling in South America. I was selling jewelry, just anything to support my travel habits. And I came across alpaca products. So I said, well, let me go to the Mecca of alpaca, Cusco, Peru, and see what I can find. And I hired a guy to be my translator for business. And he said, hey, I've got this group of, he's also a guide. So he said, hey, I've got this group of 17 people going on a 4-day hike to Machu Picchu. You should come along. So I went along. And I'd never traveled anywhere where I needed a guide before. And I was so impressed. I mean, he was knowledgeable. Everybody felt safe. He was fun. He was organized. And I asked him, I said, what do you get for a 4-day hike through the jungle with 17 people? How much do you make? And he said, oh, about $100 because the tour companies keep the money. And out of my mouth came, well, we should start a company and change that because you're worth more, way more than that. And so that's what we did.
Amazing. And so, well, what a beautiful place. I've actually never been there, but, of course you see pictures and, it's such a beautiful spot. And I think, my first question is why, what's special about, hosting a retreat in Peru? And, we obviously, anyone thinking about hosting a retreat to make a deeper impact, and we'll talk more about why retreats, but why Peru? Like why, because it's such a cool destination. Why should people consider having a retreat in Peru?
Yeah, well, there's so many reasons. One reason is that a lot of people have Machu Picchu on their bucket list. It's one of the 7 wonders of the world. So when you're filling your retreat, it's much easier because people are like, hey, I get to be with this great thought leader that I love, and I get to visit Machu Picchu. Many people are nervous about traveling overseas, so they love to have the retreat system where everything is taken care of for you. Someone's going to meet you at the airport. You're going to be with all kinds of people that you love and, or will love by the end of the week. So that's one thing. Another thing is that a lot of people understand that there's an energy in the Sacred Valley. And so when they come to the retreat, they come with the mindset that something great is going to happen. And so if you're a thought leader, that's amazing to have everybody coming just ready for transformation to take place because they know there's an energy here, and there is an energy here in the Sacred Valley. I always say the Sacred Valley has something for you, and you need to come and find out what it is.
Yeah, it's and honestly, I didn't know that much about it until you and I talked the first time, and it's just fascinating. And one of the things that I'd love to ask you about in terms of the people who are hosting retreats, or at least reaching out to you about hosting a retreat, what are their questions? What are they thinking about? Why do they want to run a retreat? And maybe what are some of the challenges? And that's kind of a multi-part question, and I'll kind of dive into whatever you say here. But what are you hearing from people when they reach out to you in terms of what they want?
I just had someone reach out to me the other day, and she said, I've wanted to go to Peru for a long time, but the logistics was always just too much. trying to work all that out. And you have people that do these retreats at all different places, and I just wonder how it's possible that they do that unless you like rent a 4-star hotel and you stay there the whole time. But otherwise, and people have asked me, "Can you do a retreat for me somewhere else?" And I say, "No. I know Peru. That's the place I know. I don't know anything about anywhere else that I could really do an amazing retreat for you." So if you like to do retreats where you stay in a 5-star hotel and you don't really get out and you know what I mean, like that, that's one thing. But if you want to do a retreat where you are immersed in the culture, immersed in the food, immersed in the history, in Peru, there's the modern, Peruvians. There's the Quechua people who are the indigenous people here. And then there's the whole history of the Incas. So there's a lot going on. And I think that for me, I think that the thing that really causes transformation in someone is a change of perspective. And here you get, one thing we do is we go to a Quechua village and they show you how the men and the women work together to plant things. And their belief is that if they don't work happy, their crops won't grow. So they don't go out to the field angry with each other. They don't go out to they really believe that. So they have to have the relationship that they're happy together or their crops aren't going to grow. So that's an amazing new perspective to get on how do I look at that in my life? Do I really, really get along with people? Do I really, really want to be happy with people? Am I doing some kind of fake thing? You know what I mean? You really look at those things when you have the change of perspective that comes here. There's the Incan history, and we go to these places, and you have an amazing guide who I always say, without a good guide, it's just a rock, because he's going to tell you the stories of what it was like when the people were there and what they did there and what their life was like and what they believed. And so I think that change of perspective is a huge part of it. And I don't remember the rest of the question. Sorry.
Yeah, but I'm going to just follow up and just say that the energy of what you just described sounds amazing. And I love that idea because, again, a lot of the thought leaders that I work with, believe that, the energy that we bring to anything is if not the biggest part of it, a big part of the results that we get in life. And what I just heard you say is that that's ingrained into the culture of how they are approaching their life and their growing their food and all of that. And I love that. And so I'm just thinking now about how that is a powerful lesson and an example for the retreat participants to experience so that they can take that on. Is that kind of what ends up happening?
Yeah. I can't remember her name right now, but there was a lady who did a TED talk and she talked about shared firsts and how when you're with a group of people, the reason people bond so much on a retreat is because they're having shared firsts. And how I don't know, I think she had some scientific information about it, but how when you do things with other people and it's the first time for both of you, you make this bond. And there's so much of that happens here. People having shared firsts where they're having such an amazing time together and they just make these friendships that last forever. And it also really helps, with the intimacy of the group. When we're having shared first, we're feeling close to each other and we're able to be more open to whatever the teacher's teaching, whatever we're trying to learn, whatever, people are much more, what's the word I'm thinking of when you open up, you know, because they get so close to each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And, I've been on retreats before and that I get what you mean about having that shared first or even just that shared experience. And it is something that bonds you to the other people that you're there with. And, it'd be very hard to explain to the people back home when you get home exactly what you experienced, but you were there with these people. And I love that. And so, so do you find that the people who are hosting the retreat or facilitating the retreat are really using that as a tool when they're sort of guiding the transformational experience for their participants?
Yeah, I don't know if you necessarily use it as a tool, but it's definitely a perfect storm for transformation.
Hmm.
You know, if
Yeah,
you
that.
if you're
Yep.
any good at what you do, we're gonna make it really easy for that to happen.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what are the questions or concerns that people have when they're hosting the retreat? I mean, do they have to have all the retreat all scripted out and dialed in? And I mean, I love how yours sort of that all inclusive destination where they don't really have to think about anything between the airport and when they arrive and when they go home. But what about the everything in between, right? And so, how much is this taking off their plate? And what's your guidance to someone who is thinking about hosting their own retreat?
Yeah, I would say we probably take about 98% of that off their plate, or if not
Hmm.
more. So the way we work it is I'll send someone a sample itinerary. It has all the options on it that they want to do. They can make changes. So we decide on an itinerary. The itinerary is basically going to set the price. They add their price to that. That's the price of the retreat. And then that's their part right there. They just have to
Hmm.
show up. We let them come a couple days early to get acclimated, get comfortable, so they're really in the zone when the people show up. And we take care of everything. Yeah.
Hmm.
All the
So
food, all the
you
lodging,
work.
all the
Oh,
transportation.
amazing. And you work with them to figure out what the entire schedule, the sort of the day by day schedule is going to be. And, if there's parts they want to bring to it or, their own content or whatever. So you consult with them and help them figure out that entire schedule.
Right, exactly. Usually we have teaching in the morning and the evening so that we have the daylight time free for excursions. So we have teaching in the morning and the evening and then an excursion each day. The only exception to that is the day of Machu Picchu. That's a long day. So they don't do teaching that day. That whole day is spent on going to Machu Picchu. But other
Hmm.
than that, there's teaching each day, and like I said, we just arrange it how they want. But I've been doing it long enough that I can really make recommendations. I can think of who their group is and what their group wants and kind of really tailor it to them.
Well, I'm sure that you've seen retreats that have gone a little bit better than others, or were planned better or whatever. Are there any lessons that other retreat hosts have learned that can help future retreat hosts to host a better retreat?
Well, I would say, and this is why we meet with people first. I want to talk to you before I ever agree to do a retreat with you because there has to be that element of trust there. Like for the people that come, I always say, when we say get your shoes on, get your shoes on. Come like a child. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be, you know what I mean? We've done this. We know what we're doing. And I think the most difficult thing is when you have retreat leaders that just want to hold on so tightly. Well, is this included? Well, are we going that? Well, what time is it? And it's just relax. We got this. We've done it and we're going to have an amazing time. So that's one thing is when people just try to hold on to control too tightly and they need to know every minute of every, you know what I mean? And
Hmm.
and one of the things that we do is we don't publish our itineraries publicly. So if I worked with you to do a retreat, you see the itinerary, but we ask that you don't share that anywhere or with any of your people. One of the reasons is because time is just different here in Peru. It's not boom, 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 for one thing. And we don't want you to be thinking that way. And we don't want your people to be thinking that way. We want them to loosen that up as much as possible, even though that's not easy. And another thing is things go wrong and we have to make adjustments. And then this way, nobody knows that we're making adjustments. Here's the things we're going to do on the retreat, but we don't give them the minute by minute played playbook because we want them just to, like I said, be like a child. When we say get your shoes on, it's time to go. I mean, we're going to give them more information than that, but that's kind of the attitude that we'd like people to have. And there's really an element of trust that has to be there for that to happen. So I think that the best retreats are when the retreat leaders and the people trust us. We have what we call a meet your guide Zoom call. So anyone that's coming to the retreat gets to come on a Zoom call and meet Carlos, their amazing guide. And once they meet him, they feel more comfortable. They're absolutely he's just incredible. So it's nice to have people meet him before they get here, feel comfortable, and really have that trust factor that you need to be able to fully relax and let us do our job so you can do yours.
Mm. I really love that. You do your job so that they can do theirs, and vice versa. And I really love. It sounds like a very kind of um, hands off experience for a lot for the person who is headlining or hosting the retreat, because you take care of so many of the details. They get to really focus in on their people. Am I hearing that
Absolutely.
correctly?
Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. That's the goal.
Yeah, and I can tell you, as someone who I've hosted my own events, countless events over the last 25 years, mostly in hotels and conference centers and all of that kind of stuff, where they do handle some of the stuff for you, but not all of it. I've definitely been the person speaking in front of the room, but I've been under the table plugging in, you know, stuff, or doing too much. We'll put it that way. So I really love this idea of, like, hosting a retreat that so many of those details are already handled for you, so you don't really have to think about it. Well, that all sounds really amazing. Who should be planning their next retreat? Why should they plan an event at in Peru? And how many people should they be thinking about bringing to their event?
I was just reading an article about the growth of the retreat industry, that I think it's like $30 billion in the next several years or something like that, because people want to be in person. People want an event. People want that, everything that a retreat offers. That, like we talked about the group being together, and we talked about, getting out of your normal everyday and seeing something so different, getting a whole new perspective. All these elements of a retreat are the reason to do a retreat. Another reason is that once you get with your people, um, a lot of people realize they can sell another high ticket at the offer at the other end of it, because now your people trust you more. They've got this love. They want to be in something else that's connected with these other people that they were there with. There's a lot of things that can happen after the retreat that are a benefit to any coach or um, thought leader that wants to come. You really get to shine at a retreat. I read a statistic that said like 98% of people that order an online course don't finish it. People are done with that. We're so much time on our phones and on our computers, and everybody now is just craving these in-person events. So it's just such a great way to give your people what they want. Time with you in an amazing place with, you know, the chance to really, really have some deep and true transformation. And
Mm.
it's amazing what I see happen for people in a week. It's just so great.
Yeah, are you seeing so when you say that, are you seeing actual, like, shifts in their behavior, or what are you seeing from them?
Yeah, people can arrive maybe trepidatious. Maybe people are worried about being overseas. We had a retreat and a guy came and he did a review for us and he said, I was so terrified of coming, but my daughter wanted to go and I wanted to go with my daughter. And he said, I answered probably 50 questions with him through email back and forth. And that's great. That's fine. That's what I'm here for. But he said then he felt more comfortable coming, and then when he got here and he said that, and then by the time he left, oh my gosh, he was dancing, he was so, you know what I mean, all of those fears were gone, and he had a great time, and him and his daughter had some super special time together. People come, so they come trepidatious, maybe they come angry, maybe they come, there's all these things that people are going through,
Mhm.
and it shows up in another way when you're in that situation. You know, when you're when you're traveling, you can't kind of fake get along with people. Things are going to bug you. Things are going to, and who you are is going to come out. And then, you're going to see that. And then I don't know. It's just impossible to explain transformation. That word's tough because
But you kind of see the before and the after. You see
you
how they
see the
arrive and
before
you
and the
see how
after.
they leave.
You feel the
Hmm.
before and the after. You feel how they come and you're like, oh, okay, and then by the time they leave, they're hugging you and loving you and so thankful that they got to have this experience.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Well, and
We
I've
do Machu Picchu, but we do all these other locations that are, kind of our pride is that we get you off the beaten path because Carlos, my business partner and your guide, has been guiding for over 20 years. He grew up in Cusco. He's half Quechua. He speaks Quechua. He knows this land like nobody else. And so we go to places where we go. There's a place we go called Napa Church. We go there often. And of all the times I've been there, there's only been one other guy there once. No one else goes there. I don't know why. It's a cool place. And he was playing the guitar. So we were like, perfect, keep playing. So yeah, we'll do things that no other company does. We'll take you places that are not going to be thronged with other tourists. I was here during the pandemic and I was hiking with some locals and they were like, oh yes, the energy's coming back after all the tourists have been here. So while everyone loves to go to Machu Picchu, and I get that, it's not the most energetic place. It's overrun with selfie taking, people that, and it's still amazing, but it's not the most energetic place here. And we're going to take you to those places and we're going to let you meet the locals and you're going to love the food. Peruvian food is right up there. I think they've surpassed French food now for top cuisine
Oh,
in the world.
wow.
Yeah. So
That sounds amazing. And I love how you have, because of the experience of the local area, you're able to go to these amazing places with amazing energy that people probably have never heard of. Right. And
exactly.
so,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah, I love that.
One
How
day we
far?
do a kitchen. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, no, go ahead. Finish what you were going to say.
Well, I said usually with every retreat, we do a Quechua village. And there's a wide range. I mean, you can go to a place that's all tourist. I mean, it's authentic, but it's set up to show you that Quechua life. Or we've gone to a village where no other foreigners have ever been in. So we judge the Quechua village we go to by the group that we have, but we bring the kids toys and stuff. They cook us this big lunch, and they show you how they dance, and all these things. To me, that's the best. That's the best excursion that we do is the Quechua village with the kids, and it's just yeah, it's you can't help but be you can't help but be changed. I think true transformation happens when you're having fun. You need the teaching, you need the learning, and then you go out and you're in this new environment. That's why, like when you're talking about having an event at a hotel, you got the lights, you got the that atmosphere. How much creativity comes out of that? How much change? How much true adventure is there in that? So yeah, I don't
Oh,
believe
yeah,
in
this
those
isn't
kind of
even in the
retreats.
same universe. I've been on destination retreats before, and it's just you can't even compare that to doing events in a hotel. Not even close. Big question I have for you is how far in advance should someone be planning their retreat?
Yeah, it kind of depends on how good you are at filling retreats. We recommend 8 months so that you have time. We get the retreat together. We do your landing page for you. We give you what we call a media kit, which has social media posts and emails and links to absolutely everything we're going to do and a link to the landing page so you can start to get the word out. But some people don't have a passport. They need time to do that before they can come. But if you're someone who's done retreats and you have, I mean, I had a lady once that she wanted to do it in 30 days. And I said, are you going to get through people together that quick? She goes, everywhere I go, they go, no problem. So if you've got that, we can do it for you, as quickly as you want. Normally the process is that, once we get everything ready, and then 60 days before the retreat date, we close registration. So everybody makes their deposits. They pay in full 60 in advance. We pay the thought leader or the coach who's ever coming, make all the arrangements, and then 60 days later, the retreat happens. But that's not set in stone by any means. If you want to come,
Hmm.
maybe not next week, but next month for sure.
Well, that sounds great. So what's the next step for somebody who wants to explore hosting a retreat with you?
Yeah, you can shoot me an email. We can have a Zoom call. You can check out our website. Like I said, once you contact me, we can either have a Zoom call or I'll send you a sample itinerary, and we make it very, very simple. Um, yeah, I have a little like a information sheet that I send you exactly how this is how it's going to work. This is how it generally works. We'll change anything you want, um, but we kind of have a flow figured out at this point.
Yeah, I'm sure you do. Well, that sounds amazing. And I just want to tell all of our listeners that if you would like to connect with Laura and even have the conversation about the possibility of hosting a retreat in Peru, and this all sounds amazing, all of her links are right beneath this video. The website and her contact information is all there. And if you're listening to this on an audio podcast, just open up your phone and whatever you're listening to this on, could be Spotify or Apple or whatever it is, all the links are right there as well. Laura, thank you for telling us all about this. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you really want people to know about hosting a retreat with you?
I don't think so. I think we pretty much covered it.
So I was perfect in all of my interviewing
You
skills
are
today.
really good at this. You're as good at this as I am about doing retreats in Peru. So,
Oh, thank you. Well, as we bring this episode to a close, I just want to ask you if there's any, piece of advice or words of wisdom that you want to leave our audience here with today.
I would say, you know, whatever's holding you back from doing what you think you should be doing, if it happens to be coming to Peru, don't hold back because we can help you. We can work through it. It's going to be okay. It's going to be great. And, the world is an amazing place. So get out there and see it. Get out there and enjoy it.
And bring your people, host a retreat. That sounds amazing. Laura, thank you. And to our audience, thank you as well. And I want you to remember, I know that you're on a mission to make a big positive impact in the lives of your clients and possibly in the communities or the world. And perhaps hosting a retreat is the thing that can help you to make that deep, lasting and meaningful impact in the lives of the people that you work with. And if you don't have to have it all figured out, it could be you're one collaboration away. And in this case, talk to Laura. She's going to help you to figure it all out. So in the meantime, keep moving forward and we will see you on the next one. Thank you.